Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right into the essentials of cybersecurity today. And look, we're not starting with some dry theory. No, we're starting with a real-world disaster, one that shows you just how incredibly high the stakes are when our digital defenses crumble.
All right, let's get right to it. Picture this. It's February 2024, and one of the biggest healthcare payment systems in the entire US gets brought to its knees. And it wasn't some long, drawn-out campaign. It was a single devastating cyber attack.
Yeah, that's the ransom Change Healthcare coughed up in Bitcoin after the attack just crippled services all over the country. And we're not talking about some minor technical glitch here. This directly hit millions of real people, patients, doctors, you name it, all across the US. I mean, just look at how fast this all went down. The attack hits on February 21st. Within days, just days, the attackers had already stolen 6 terabytes of super sensitive patient data. And sure, the ransom got paid, but the damage was already done. We're talking about a shutdown that lasted for days. Billions with a B spent just trying to put out the fire, and nearly 50 lawsuits piled on top. So the big question is, how on earth could a breach this massive even happen? Well, the answer is kind of shocking in how simple it is. And it points directly to the single biggest vulnerability you'll find in, well, pretty much any security system out there. Get this. The whole thing started because of a remote access portal that didn't have multi-factor authentication enabled. That's it. The hackers got their hands on some valid login info, and because there was no MFA, they just walked right in. You know MFA, right? It's that simple step where you use your phone or another device to prove it's actually you. Without that second check, a stolen password is basically a key to the front door. So you've got these two big breaches, right? On one hand, you have Change Healthcare. That was a technical miss, a policy failure. Someone just didn't flip the switch on MFA. But then you have Charleston Medical, which happened because an employee got distracted and clicked on a tricky phishing email. Two different paths, but they lead to the same disastrous place. And what's the common thread? Both of these massive failures started with a simple and totally preventable human element. And that really hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Technology can have all the bells and whistles, but at the end of the day, the real defense comes down to us, to people. So if we want to figure out how to be a stronger defense, we need to get a handle on the basic framework that's designed to protect all our data in the first place.
Okay, so when it comes to protecting information effectively, security pros all over the world rely on this one foundational model. It's called the CIA triad. All right, these 3 pillars are basically the why behind every single security rule you've ever heard of. Think about the Change Healthcare attack, right? Confidentiality? Gone. The hackers stole the data. Integrity? Totally at risk because who knows if they changed any of it. And availability? Well, that was completely destroyed when the system went dark. Every single security measure, from your password to a firewall, is there to protect one or more of these 3 things. So, now that we've got the blueprint down, let's get to the really practical stuff. The part that's all about what you can do every single day to stop being the weak link and start being a stronger one. So, phishing, it's just pure psychological manipulation. It's a head game. Attackers are trying to create this false sense of urgency. Your account will be suspended or suspicious activity detected. They want you to panic and click before you think. They'll use logos you recognize and generic greetings hoping you won't look too closely. The key is to just pause, take a breath, look for these red flags before you even think about clicking a link or opening an attachment. Let's talk passwords. This is your absolute first line of defense. Using something simple and easy to guess, that's like putting a flimsy screen door on a bank vault. It's just not going to work. So it's time for an upgrade. A strong password, or even better, a phrase password, uses a wild mix of letters, numbers, and symbols. It creates this digital deadbolt that's way, way harder for anyone to crack. And this next one, this is so crucial. Let's go back to that Change Healthcare attack. What was the weak point? No MFA. Honestly, turning on multi-factor authentication is the single most effective thing you can do to protect your accounts, period. Even if a hacker manages to steal your password, MFA slams the door right in their face. Seriously, turn it on. Everywhere, now. Your responsibility doesn't just stop at the keyboard. Physical security is just as important, and it doesn't matter if you're in a big office or at your kitchen table. Lock your screen when you walk away. Please, please don't write your passwords on sticky notes. And just be aware of your surroundings. These little habits might seem small, but they make a massive difference. So, look,
Everything you do as an individual is absolutely critical, but it's also important to remember that you're part of a much bigger system, a whole structure that's designed to protect the entire organization. Your company is working on this from all angles, implementing controls across these 4 big areas. They're setting the high-level policies, they're running training sessions, they're doing the technical stuff like data backups and access reviews. But here's the thing, none of it works without you. Your awareness and you actually following the rules, that's the glue that holds the entire structure together. Because at the end of the day, every policy, every firewall, every fancy piece of security software, it all relies on you. By staying vigilant, by following these best practices we've talked about, you get to make a choice. You can shift from being that potential weakest link to being the last and often the strongest line of defense.